I'm not running this YouTube channel or creating these videos in order to amass a large number of subscribers. You can subscribe or not subscribe, I don't care. I'm just doing this as a way of amplifying my own resonance to my own mastery of alignment to all that is, so that my life becomes more and more the charmed life that I know is possible. Welcome to my raw blog. It is Friday, October 31st. I think it's Halloween. 10:38 in the morning. And this week has been filled with contrast. Contrast is not always bad, although it's often interpreted as that. But if you're aware of Abraham's 5 steps of deliberate creation, then you know the 5th step is mastery of the first step, which is immersing yourself in the realm of contrast, which is another way of saying physical reality. Physical reality is filled with contrast. And so it's not, when you're in that step 5, step 1, being in contrast, is a positive thing, not a negative thing. And that's how I'm seeing the contrast from this week. There's been quite a lot going on. I want to start with what's happening with my meditation. Because it's confirming the process of me becoming a shapeshifter. Now, for most human beings, what I'm doing is impossible. And it's interesting, today, just today, Abraham sent out an email message related to what I'm talking about here. And I'm going to read it and I'm also going to put it on the screen because it specifically speaks to the experience I'm having in the process of developing this ability to shapeshift. They write, "Somebody asked us recently, is there any limitation to the body's ability to heal? And we said, none other than the belief that you hold. And he said, then why aren't people growing new limbs? And we said, because nobody believes they can." Here's the thing about what I'm doing with regard to shapeshifting. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't believe it was possible. And I know that almost every human being believes it's not possible. And because they don't believe it's not possible, they don't consider the possibility of manifesting that outcome. But because of my long trajectory that has evolved into what I'm calling the positively focused framework, I've produced so much evidence for myself consistent with what Abraham's message is about with regard to other things, castles and buttons both, that I'm now engaged in manifesting my version of regrowing limbs. And the evidence is manifesting, showing that that indeed is becoming my reality. The challenge is, and this is why I typically don't engage clients in this kind of thing like shapeshifting until they've mastered the positively focused framework, because you have to have a lot of evidence proving that the positively focused framework is accurate with regard to the spiritual dynamics underlying how physical reality works before you can even consider something like what I'm doing, let alone anything else that seems amazing. But I've produced so much evidence that I'm on the way to manifesting this ability. Now, because there's so much momentum of disbelief relative to shapeshifting, not just in myself, but in human society in general, just like human beings disbelieve humans can regrow limbs, it's taking a while. And it's taking a while because I can't manifest around my dominant momentum on the subject I'm wanting to manifest. I have to soothe that disbelief momentum. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. And what's interesting is, as I move through the process of doing that, soothing that negative emotion, soothing that disbelief and coming into belief, the evidence is mounting. And so this week during my meditations, I've had physical sensations in my body that are indicating increased clarity in the distinction between the physical body that is me and the spiritual being that is me. I've written about this before, but the distinction is getting stronger, and it's necessary because in order to shift the physical framework into another form factor, I have to disassociate who I know or what I know myself to be from my physical body. Because as the body begins to comply with the intention of shifting, if I don't have that distinction, the shifting could feel like annihilation. It can feel like dying. And this is one of the reasons why this process is going so slow, or seeming to go so slow, or seeming to produce no results in the eyes of others with whom I've talked to about this subject of becoming a shapeshifter. It's a long process of soothing the manifestation. Being able to shapeshift is already present in non-physical. I have to become a match to that alternate dimension where it has manifested. And that is what's happening as I'm moving through the process of soothing my disbelief. And as I'm soothing my disbelief, I'm getting the evidence that's showing that the soothing is working. What is the evidence? The evidence is when I'm meditating, I can feel the disassociation occurring. And as the disassociation occurs, I can feel greater distinction of me as a spiritual being inside this physical framework. And I can feel that aspect of me, the spiritual aspect of me, testing the waters, so to speak, of moving outside of the physical framework. And that is associated with the other things that I'm desiring to manifest, which are along the lines or similar to or analogous to regrowing limbs, which is teleportation and travel outside of the body. So the evidence is showing up, but it's not evidence other people can see yet. And this is why, with regard to any castle, now to distinguish that, castles are the big manifestations we really want to have, and that's distinguished from buttons, which are the less significant in our minds manifestations that we want to have. Buttons, like buttons in physical reality, are plentiful. So these insignificant manifestations, according to our thinking, are plentiful compared to castles, which are few and far between. So as I'm manifesting this castle of shapeshifting, I have to hold it close to the chest, so to speak, because if I were to share it with people in my life, their disbelief would trigger my own disbelief. And this is why when we're wanting to manifest something significant, something we think is significant, they're all the same. There's no significance of one manifestation over the other. They're all the same. But as we're wanting to manifest something that's significant, it's best for us to keep it close to the chest, because if we share it with others, we tend to get entrained into other people's disbelief. The reason why I'm talking about this in my blog and in these videos on my YouTube channel is because I've gotten to the point in my own practice of the positively focused framework where other people's vibrational opinion doesn't have as much impact on what it is I'm about. And so that's why I'm sharing it. Number one, because I can share it because of what I just said, but also I'm also sharing it to inspire others to reach for their version of regrowing limbs. In addition to, this is so good, in addition to the evidence that I'm feeling in my body that shapeshifting is inevitable now, regrowing of limbs, my version of regrowing limbs, I'm also perceiving a thinning of the veil between physical and non-physical, evidenced by how easily I can move in and out of what humans call the dream state, which is nothing more than non-physical. The dream state is not a dream state. We're not dreaming. We actually move into non-physical while the body sleeps. Well, I'm able to do that now in my meditations more and more easily. So the veil between the two states, wake and non-physical, or physical and non-physical, is thinning. That's even more evidence that my desire, my version of regrowing a limb, shapeshifting, is happening. So this is the thing. In order to realize a castle, we have to get to the point where we can perceive the early stage evidence that the perceiving of will amplify our ability to manifest that castle. If you're waiting until the castle appears, so remember, castles is an analogy for the manifestation of something you really want, something you think is extremely significant. If you're waiting for the castle to appear in order to manifest the castle, you're between a rock and a hard place, because you can't manifest something based on your desire to see it first. You first have to conjure the early stage evidence. You have to manifest the early stage evidence. And the earliest stage evidence is an emotional indicator. Then comes evidence that shows up as material reality reflecting back to you your inner state of being. So like if you're wanting to buy a new car, let's say a Porsche, and you're desiring to do that through manifestational means, and perhaps right now you don't have the financial means to purchase such a car, the early stage evidence that you're on the way to being able to do that is in your perception, seeing more and more Porsches on the road. That's the early stage evidence. But if you wobble between seeing a Porsche on the road and instead of seeing it and going, wow, that's evidence of my manifestation happening, if instead you go, if you fall into wistfulness or yearning, like, oh, I really want that, but I can't afford it, then you're leaning in the direction of not manifesting it. You see what I'm saying here? So, castles and buttons. I'm focused on this magnificent castle, and the evidence abounds that it's happening. It's so interesting. I wanted to talk about some other things, but I'm going to leave it here because this is a pretty significant journal entry talking about what I've just talked about. And the unfolding of it is happening alongside other magnificent manifestations that are happening in my life. Manifestations, confirmation, and contrast. All really important realizations on my part, especially recognizing that the contrast, what ordinary human beings would call negative experience, is actually the rocket fuel that is accelerating the manifestation of my desire. I do a journal entry every Friday, so next week I can talk about the other things I was going to talk about. I think this is enough for now. I didn't expect that I would fill the whole time talking about shapeshifting, but there you go. I just shared a lot of good stuff. Hopefully you found it of value. I sure did. I'm going to end this by saying the following. I'm not running this YouTube channel or creating these videos in order to amass a large number of subscribers. You can subscribe or not subscribe, I don't care. I'm just doing this as a way of amplifying my own resonance to my own mastery of alignment to all that is, so that my life becomes more and more the charmed life that I know is possible. And I'm seeing evidence of that every single day now, every moment of every single day. And so are my clients. So because you're here watching this, thank you for watching this. I hope you got some insight from it. If you care to, leave a comment and I will respond to all of them. I'll see you in the next video.